Here we go.
Right.
Shay. Shay, welcome. Oh, seems like my face is cut off here. Let me see what I
We can see you fine, Ron.
got. Oh, okay, good. Uh, that's important. Shay, and welcome. Peace and blessings to all. Thank you for joining us for our live stream, the Aesthetically Speaking ASM live stream. We're so glad that you could come and join us. And I will say before I go any further, I want to introduce our incredible team: Ilham Tamit, Juan Cardoso, and I am Ralph Jones. And I am so glad that you are able to be here with us today. Uh, Ilham, you want to be first? Ladies always first. Go ahead, sister.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Juan. I want just to welcome everybody with us for this show this night. And yeah, um, I love this piece, the first one. Yeah, the first one is just incredible. I just travel very far in the forest and the river with birds, and yeah, the sounds are just incredible. Thank you.
Good to have you here, sister, as always.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you are
Thank you for having me.
in France, is that correct?
Yeah, that is
Wonderful.
it.
That's our Moroccan French connection. Juan, go ahead, brother.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. We're very happy to be here again and promoting these incredible artists and also introducing some of the topics that we are gonna be covering in the next module. Uh, and yeah, we're gonna have our official and free for all open house on Thursday. And tonight is about introducing some of these themes and artists and some of other stuff that Ralph's gonna talk about. But we are very happy to be here and excited for tonight.
Thank you, brother. We are very excited for our next module. It will be our 14th module. So we've been doing Aesthetically Speaking for over 4 years now. Maybe it's almost 4.5 years. And like I said, our 14th module, and we're very, very, very happy to have come this far. And we hope to go further and continue on into the next whenever, the next whenever. Let me introduce our gathering music. And I wanted to add something on here while I was typing out our format. And I said, the music that we do, we used to call it the gathering hymn. And then we just called it gathering music. And I said, well, this is gathering music while we gather ourselves together, our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our spirits. This is what we like to do with this music. And the incredible art ensemble of Chicago, I thought they would be absolutely on point to begin our session because of the stature of and the greatness of that great ensemble from Chicago. One thing I do want to say is, do we want to post our payment schedule now or later?
Yeah, but for those who don't know about ASM and what is our module and where they happen. Can you talk a little bit about that? About how it's going to be the next 6 weeks and so on?
Okay. We will begin our modules. We will be doing ASM, Aesthetically Speaking, every Thursday. And we will be covering, and I should say what it is, the phenomena of African and African diasporic musical culture. And our mission will be to revisit the revolution, the evolution and emergence of music, dance, art, technology, clothing, hairstyles, film, radio, television, language, and lifestyles that changed and challenged world cultures. And the important part about this, what we're going to be doing is that we will be covering the years 1973 until 1980. Sounds like, what, it's only 7 years, but only 7 years. You will be aghast at the music that was created and continued during this period, and the music that came in and went away. We have an emergence of hip hop music. We have an emergence of disco music. The funk was always apparent, but these are some of the things that were happening in this brief period. And we will be covering them. We will be talking about not only the producers of the music, but we'll be talking about the venues that the people would go to dance. In other words, the discotheques. This was a whole movement that came out. Also, some of the so-called jazz artists, they became crossover artists. And this, we will be covering some of them in some of our sessions. We will be talking about funk. We will be talking about the singers, the balladeers, the women groups, the men groups of singers, and this began to die out just a bit during this time of the 80s as we had new genres emerging. Soul Train. And we will also talk about the loft music in New York City. There was a lot of things happening in New York City in this time period. The lofts were very special because so many musicians, for the first time, had control over the venues that they were performing in. So they didn't have to play in the clubs. They didn't have to, do these outlandish concerts where they, wouldn't make money. But these were places where the music was free. People were free to come in. And they were entrepreneurials, the people that owned these lofts at this particular time. It was a very special time because they were in control of the venues that was presenting the music. And sad to say, when the corporations began to find out about this, they began to go in and buy these lofts and take them away from the musicians. Therefore, it destroyed a whole culture, loft culture, I would call it, at any rate. But yeah, here we go.
So, as Ralph beautifully explains, that's what we will be covering, or he will be covering on the next 6 weeks. And this is the payment information for participating in the 6 weeks on Zoom. They happen on Zoom. But on this Thursday, the next Thursday, the 18th, is our open session, our open house, and it's free for all, so you can just join us. The information is in the description of this video and so on. And if you can't make it at this time on the Thursdays, and you want to contribute with something or any kind of value, is also very helpful, to keep our work in YouTube and so on. But if you can be with us every Thursdays for the next 6 weeks, you'll learn a lot of this amazing knowledge, that Ralph is going to share with us and always shares since 2020 and these amazing years of ASM. So yeah, basically that's it. If you have any questions, send us an email at aestheticspeakingmusic@gmail.com. And also our website is in the description, so just reach out to us and we will let you know anything you want.
Thank you, brother. Yes. And I'm going to say this, that the beginning of this session, our live stream, I wanted to not only play some music and musical philosophies of some very important figures in our musical culture, and play some of the interviews that you'll get a chance to hear them speak about their musical cultures. We have Cecil Taylor, we have Mary Lou Williams, we have the great Don Cherry, and we're going to be playing excerpts from them. You'll get a chance to hear them talk. And the reason why I wanted them to speak is because these are people that we don't hear enough of, their music and what they think about creating and creative music. So we want to start with Mr. Cecil Taylor. And this was an interview done in 1975. And it fits in with the period that we're going to be covering, 1973 through 1980. This is music that, or these are words that you very rarely hear from Cecil Taylor. Let's hear it.
Cecil Taylor has established himself as one of the most influential black artists alive today. Very rarely do musicians get an opportunity to verbally express their feelings about music and their audience. As our guest tonight in Dealing, Cecil gives us his definition of black music and its role in the black community.
The music is about joy. The purpose of the music is to achieve a levitation or a trance, which is the existence beyond the normal existence. Obviously, in black churches, when they are talking about revivals and talking about being converted and all of this talk about the Spirit, is, of course, the American adaptation of ancient African rituals, which, of course, is what the music is, the strongest manifestation of the continuum, cultural continuum, you see. What I cannot even begin to talk about the economics, but it does seem to me one of the most important things that define the areas in which black music or black art is allowed to work is the fact if you do not have a community that is specifically organized to revere and to protect and therefore stimulate their own cultural growth, their own cultural heritage, then those particular people who come from that community can never be seen as positive creatures in relation to that community. Because you see, in another definition, it seems to me, of what art is it is the symbolizing of the life within the community, because it is the continuance of all of the acts, all of the intrapersonal acts that go on within that community, in terms of, if it's painting, symbols, structures, you see, or in terms of dance, body movements, in terms of music, arrangement of specific sounds, so that the art does not exist without a recognition of the group and the particular ideation which, propels the life of that group. So that what art is the abstraction, if you will, of what people exchange every day, you see. A group of people who who are themselves a repository of a cultural heritage, actually, although they're one group, they are many groups. And it seems to me what we haven't recognized is that within these many groups, each group has a specific function. You have those groups that are organized to make money in certain endeavors. You have political manifestations. You have also cultural manifestations. And it is that area where it seems that our group have not succeeded in building the Avery Fisher Halls, which would be the places.
All right, agree with.
Very interesting. Cecil Taylor has always been a spokesman for his music and for the culture. I thought that I would give a comparison of such, not one being better than the other, but there was a documentary done on Cecil Taylor in the 2000s. I think it was 2001, maybe. Yes. And it was called All the Notes. And I want you to listen to how Cecil himself evolved from 1975 until the latter part of his life, how he has matured, how his music has matured, and his concept has become more explainable. So I want us to be patient because we will be listening a lot today, not only to the music, but also to the words of the musicians, the words of the artists. So I want you to hear this brief episode of All the Notes by Cecil Taylor and think about what he said and what he is saying in this particular documentary.
Goes out. There is something else that happens. Some think it's gravitation. So there are two forces of that determine what goes out. There is another force that opposes it. It is connected, of course, to the earth movement. There are all of these forces that have to do with the Earth's rotation and the invisible sound. Sound has color, perhaps 6 different colors, which most human beings cannot perceive, but animals can perceive. For me, Charlie Parker is the seminal musician after 1950, as I feel Dizzy Gillespie was the most important trumpet player. Dad, coming from North Carolina, his 5 favorite people were Louis Armstrong, Bessie Smith, Ella Fitzgerald, Bing Crosby, and Judy Garland. This is hard. Those musicians that were following the drummer and the bass player, a bird, the impetus was on 2 and 4. That was the accent. Anyone could play looking at that tree move out there. See it moving? It's wonderful. But with James Brown, it was 1. Train arrives. Jimmy and Sonny, we play, and then tenor player gets up there. Train says to me, "I'll take you back to your hotel." And this is what Train said. "You know, I heard you 3 after take 3. He said, I didn't believe 3 men could make that much music." Derek is a
Very
wonderful
good. Very good. You know, so many people have diminished the impact of Cecil Taylor, and you can tell by the words, by his philosophy, and that's why it's very important to listen to not just the music, but hear how the person talks about their philosophy. What do they have to say? What's coming from them? You know, to me, that's one of the most magnificent things an artist can do is to translate what's inside of him or her. And when I say her, I want to play this interview with the great Mary Lou Williams. Cecil Taylor and Mary Lou Williams actually did a recording together, which I hope you'll get an opportunity to check that out if you get a chance to. So, Mary Lou Williams, and this is a short interview, but you get a wonderful insight into her life and into her spirituality. Mary Lou Williams.
Rob, just a second, because we had a comment in the chat.
Oh.
Just if you address it first. It's from Bashir Muhammad, and he says, from the early 70s and 80s, so-called consciousness has lulled in being useful to communities at large. Is this on purpose? I think so.
I think that's the aim that was the aim of the musician, of the artist of this particular period. And I'm going to say, you know, maybe it diminished in some aspects because other musical cultures and genres arose and emerged from this time. And those that had that particular thought, brother, I believe, continued. And you know, I think I continue to be of that thought myself. And there's people here on this on our session here that also can vie for that type of intent and sentiment. Yeah, you know, I think it was very important that the spirituality of these great people comes out, because, you know, you would never hear this on just a recording. I mean, you could hear it, but then what were they thinking about? What message did they want to portray to the listener? And we are the listeners. So I think, yes, you know, what a wonderful question that is. And if you have any more questions or comments, please be sure to put it in the chat, Brother Bashir. Thank you very much. And we will listen to Mary Lou Williams.
At age 6, but as we discovered, she actually began playing at the age of 2. When we spoke with Mary Lou, she began by telling us how she happened to get such an early start.
Seems that I used to get in a great mess around in the house when my mother was practicing. So what she did really was to put me on her lap while she was playing. She played an old-fashioned organ. So she said one day while she was pumping the organ, my fingers beat her fingers to the keyboard and began playing. And it must have been great because she ran out and got the neighbors to listen to it. And she would not get me a teacher or anyone to teach me. She had professional musicians to come in and play every night for me or every day or something. And you see, jazz is such a great art. It cannot be taught out of books. And the best way to learn how to play jazz is through a playing musician. So my education came through the Andy Kirk band I was with for 10 years. You know, they taught me everything that I know, how to arrange and everything. It's been like that with me all my life. I was professional at 6 years old. The union band used to take me out. Men used to hold me on their laps to play. And it seems that they took an interest in me and took me along with them and taught me everything that I know. And I've been professional for years, you know. And at 12 years old, I was traveling everywhere, you know.
For several years, you left the jazz scene to concentrate on another very important aspect of your life. Can you tell us why you gave up playing professionally for that time?
I think it was just a period, a turning point in my life. I really don't know. I've been asked that a million times, and I don't know. I just think I stopped on my own. I began praying in Paris. A musician took me to his grandmother's house, and I prayed at least 11 months before I came back to America. I canceled all my work and everything, and I began praying for at least 10 years straight, off and on. Dizzy Gillespie, such a wonderful guy. He'd call me to go out on gigs with him, and I'd go back in the house and pray again, you know.
And I also know that you were conducting at the time that you were not playing in public. You were working in a church in New York, I believe it was, and you would invite musicians down to play with you in the church. And some of the people that Bud Powell came and Thelonious Monk.
Right. I take them to church with me. I took Monk. The first time I took Monk, he was frightened. He thought he was going to die. He said nobody ever asked him to go to church before. He slipped and fell as we were going in. It was really frightening. I took Bud Powell and several musicians to Dizzy Gillespie to church with me.
Mary Lou, we know you have very strong feelings about jazz as an art form. What do you feel is happening in the jazz music scene today?
Well, it's a great thing to be talking about jazz because it's very important that we bring it back. You know, Father Peter O'Brien, who travels with me, brought me out 6 years ago and to save jazz. And so we opened a club there, the Cookery, and we were there off and on for 6 years, and it's being played quite a bit in New York. And nobody realizes that it's a great art. It's the only true art in the world because it came out of the suffering of the first early black slaves, and it's all American. It has nothing to do with Africa or Latin American music, and there's 4 eras of it. The spiritual, ragtime, Kansas City swing, and bop, and then the creators, we have no more creators. Jazz is the thing that feeds love and is healing to the soul. And this other music puts you in a block. Now, like I have a drummer with me, I'm so happy Roy Haynes is with me because he's jazz and everything. See, and he plays with such a wonderful feeling. It takes me at least 6 months to teach a professional man now to play jazz. It's very stiff playing rock and free music. I think people would be much more calm than what they are now if they heard jazz. The other music makes you nervous. I tell you what happened. When I first came out 6 years ago, I was in Canada, and the disc jockey refused to play a jazz record of mine. So I said, just play a jazz record to stop the war. And the peace treaty was signed that Saturday after he played the record. And then I got him on to jazz again. Well, listen, really, that was a coincidence, but it is really that strong.
Composer?
Interesting. I think that Mary Lou would elicit a lot of questions and comments about the word jazz and also about what it does, and about saying that it's not related to other cultures, because she mentioned it being American art form, And she also said that it wasn't related to anything in Latin America. There were slaves in Latin America. It wasn't related to anything in, the Caribbean or any place else. And that slaves were taken all over the world. So I have a bit of a problem with that, but everybody has the option to call whatever they want to call their music. But that was the first time I heard the entire interview by her. I would have had some problems with some of the things that she was saying, but I have no problems with her upbringing and the music that she created and composed, and also why she left music. I understand, and I did read a book of hers about her, and she was just talking about she got tired of the raunchy lifestyles that the so-called jazz musicians were leading during that time, not making money, the alcoholism, the gambling, the things that were going on in Kansas City, going out on the road and not getting paid. I think one of the things that Mary Lou Williams said was she went out and she said she doesn't think that the agents or the music managers could exist like the artists were out on the road. That they were in their offices wherever in LA or New York or wherever Chicago, wherever their offices were, they were sitting back, signing papers and, enjoying the fruits of the labor of these great artists. And she said, I'm sure that they would never be able to make it and do what we were going through out on the road trying to do music. So that was Mary Lou Williams, and if you notice, she recorded with Thelonious. She would take musicians to her church where she performed. I thought that was wonderful. She said Monk fell down on the steps of the church. He said nobody ever asked him to go to church, which is wonderful. It shows you that how much he really loved Mary Lou Williams. So I want to play next. In 1978, there was a documentary on the great Don Cherry, and it was done on Swedish television. And he says some things. Don Cherry is, not only I have had a musical association with his son David, who was a very outstanding pianist and composer. Like his father, his name was David Ornette Cherry, so he came up in that music. But Don had such an impact, and it's rare that we hear people talk about him. But in the way that he looked at music, the way that he perceived sound, and creativity. So I do want to play this short, and please thank you for being patient, but this documentary on Don Cherry, which was done on Swedish TV in 1978, but you'll get a chance to hear Don Cherry. And we've heard just three outstanding musicians giving their thoughts on how they approach creativity and how they approach music. Are there any questions or any comments that we have?
So far, no, just the first one that I read.
Okay, thank you very much. So we can continue on with the Don Cherry documentary, and hopefully we'll have some questions about them, about Don and about Mary Lou and about Cecil Taylor. Okay.
Well, for one thing, is that it's actually not my music because it's a combination of different experiences and different cultures and different composers that involves the music that we play together or that I'm playing when I'm playing alone. When he played this rhythm, it was so familiar to me because I could relate it to all the blues players that I had heard, like T-Bone Walker, B.B. King, John Lee Hooker. It's like the sound of the railroad train. Wah, wah, railroad train. Going clicky, clacky down the line. Going down the line, don't stop. Living in a small town right next to the railroad tracks. Here comes the railroad train going clicky clacky down the line. Don't stop. It's a fantastic instrument because I really get joy out of playing the instrument in the street because you meet a lot of people, and I've played it in Bombay and Japan and in New York and Harlem and Watts, and I mean in all the travels and it's good for people to see an instrument that's made by hand. Always the first reaction is, oh, this is something primitive. But then when the black people that I've met have heard the instrument, they can relate to it, and they start singing and start dancing. And another good thing is that it has a certain kind of concentration that you have in playing the instrument, that you have to really concentrate. It's like a mandala, and you reach for the center of it. For instance, like, here's a rhythm that I wrote. It says, pops. That's very important because that's something with the body language in it. It's Duzunguni. Myself, you know,
Dusanguni. Can we listen to a little bit more of that, please?
I grew up in the ghetto in Los Angeles and Watts. and I never knew about seasons. And in the ghetto, you really don't really feel, it's not that much nature around. I mean, Los Angeles is just flat. It's dry, and it's very smoggy. Because I remember when I was very young, from where I live was like 113th Street. And we could see the mountains. The first 3 years I was there. I first came there in 1940 from Oklahoma, because when the land was destroyed with oil and the land was destroyed for crops, a lot of people moved to California. It's like the grapes of wrath around that time, and that was our family in the 40s. And when I first got there, the first 3 years, you could see the mountains. But then after that, around in 45 on, you couldn't see it. There was so much pollution, you couldn't see the mountains anymore. And you more or less couldn't really feel the seasons because of, in the ghetto, it's not that much of a feeling of nature. And this is something that I always had a dream of experiencing when I was young. And I always had this dream of being in nature, and I wanted my children to experience that.
Merupa, Marpa, Milarpa, Gampupa, Tanapa.
Okay, that's beautiful. Listen, thank you for your patience. Don Cherry, I mean, it's an incredible documentary if you get an opportunity. Actually, we've seen two very incredible documentaries, All the Notes by Cecil Taylor, Don Cherry, documentary done on Swedish television. And he talked about, his early life in Los Angeles and what it was like, and I know living in Los Angeles for 34 years I did, and I got a chance to see how bad the air, because Los Angeles is in like a valley, and the smog from the cars and it just kind of hovers over this valley of what they call Los Angeles. And sometimes it's so bad that the air looks brown, and I know where Don kind of grew up in Watts, and where he had his first two children, Jan, who is an incredible violinist, and David, who has passed on. But they were born in Watts, in Los Angeles, in the area that he was talking about. And David had a very, very extremely bad case of asthma. And that asthma is what eventually took him out. But when this happened, it made me think about how bad the air was in Los Angeles, and I can understand why Don yearned to be in another environment that was more naturistic, where he could see seasons change and things like that. I guess this was before, of course, climate change. Yes, okay. So I want to say thank you for enduring these documentaries, and I hope you have gleaned something important from these great artists. I know some of these interviews I've heard before, but some of them, every time I listen to them again, it's good to revisit because you get something new and you find out actually you could hear the same thing, but it has a deeper meaning than it had maybe at another time. Yeah. Juan, do you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, just a comment about this last Don Cherry documentary, because when he says about the similarities with the blues and the playing the instruments reminded him the blues. And for example, we have one video in our channel which is about similarities between the music of Ali Fakatoure from Mali and John Lee Hooker, which he mentions. And it's very interesting because in this time period of the 70s is when you see a great movement from a lot of Black artists all over the world. This happens here in Brazil as well. To go back to these roots and to go and look for their African roots, And it's very interesting how, these connections happens. I can see also a similarity with the capoeira here, with the music of Morocco, or maybe a little bit of the Ginawa. I don't know if Ilham agree with that, but all these musical connections that we can always trace, and sometimes it's difficult to understand the origin and so on. But what really matters is this historical and ancestral communication and spreading this kind of knowledge, and all these beautiful words that we listened tonight from Don Cherry, from Mary Lou Williams, and it's amazing, to be doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with that. Ilhan, shall we hear your words?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Any comments from you, dear? I should say, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said dear. I apologize for that.
No,
No,
don't be.
seriously. Listen, I know better. Sister, any words that you like to add?
No. Just I'm appreciating, the music and all the information about the musician and the kora. The kora is wow. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. That is, if I have to choose one word, it will be amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
yeah, and Don called that instrument, and it's in some parts it's called the kora, and in some parts of the continent, some countries, it would be called the dusunguni. And dusunguni was a hunter's bow in origin, and it tells you something about how musical instruments are also have multiple functions in societies. Certain societies, you might hear something different,
And I'm sorry.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Go on.
No, I was going to say that, Don Cherry had no boundaries. He had no boundaries to his creativity, which is why to me, he's just one of the seminal musicians. Like, I mean, how are you going to put a label on Cecil Taylor's music?
Yeah.
How are you going to put labels? And it's funny, people will, I should say, those that do not create the music will put a label on something so that they can sell it. and we talk about that often, and that's something that I'm not going to stop um, expressing myself about, sometimes my disappointment about labels and barrier that music is put under, you know. I'd be curious, Ilham, to hear when you name a music yourself. In other words, the Ganawa named their own music. Am I correct?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You see, they didn't wait for somebody else to tell them what it was that they were doing. They named it themselves, which means you have power of your own over your own creativity. Can you
Yeah,
comment on that?
in the beginning, there was doing gathering, in the same, if we take maybe 1960 in Morocco, in that time they had gathering, gathering in near Marrakesh, and all the Gnawa of all the Morocco, they meet there, and in the same time each year, and yeah, it was very important for them, and they are free, and in the same time in the society, Gnawa music was not so appreciated in that time,
Mm.
yeah, it was not appreciated because of music, and there is always the question about religion and music, till now, in Arabic countries. Yeah,
Mm.
you will find people telling that it's haram, it's not allowed, and other they will tell you the opposite. Yeah,
So
and
it didn't stop the artist from being creative and doing their music, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was working. There were groups in each city. For example, in Marrakesh, in Essaouira, in Fez, Meknès, in the north of Morocco, in Tangier, and yeah, and there were, and especially it was music and poetry that there are repeating, keeping since many years,
Mm.
and they add things on it, but the basic was the heritage. Yeah.
Mm. Very interesting.
Ah.
Okay.
Mm.
And was there a rejection of the music due to the colonialism by the French? Did the French people
Uh,
embrace this music or not? Did they want to stop it?
maybe because the art generally it's a kind of showing them revolution, and maybe, but I don't have any information about it. But I will. It's idea of seeking about what the colonialist was thinking about the Moroccan music and Gnawa music, and I will tell you, inshallah. Uh, but in the society, like I said, it was bad to be Gnawa musician, and it's changed. I don't know if it was Mahmoud who said that because of people coming from outside, from United States, from Europe, and they just allowed this music to grow up and show up anywhere in the world. It's not because of Moroccan. He said it was not because of Moroccan, because Moroccan, uh, there were they have very opposite opinion. I don't know if I can see that like this,
That
but
makes sense. Of course it does. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But it carries on. The Ganawas have now attained a deeper sense of respect,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
you
Yeah,
know.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's very, very different, and we find young people different level of social classes, and
Mm,
however, I don't like this kind of things. Uh, yeah, and there is some musician, young people, however, the sons of Muallim, of masters of Gnawa, but there is young ladies, girls, and boys playing Gnawa music and trying to continue the tradition,
mm,
but there is things lost on on the way, yeah.
mm.
Unfortunately, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
When you mention tradition and young people continuing to the tradition of a very old music, um, Juan, in Brazil, how would you connect those two concepts, young people and traditional music? Who's doing the traditional music? And do the young people want to embrace the older traditions of music?
Uh, I think
Oh,
uh,
I'm sorry.
do you want to say something, Caroline? Go on, please.
Carolyn, good to see you.
Oh yes, and I wish that
Are we connected?
I don't think so. Oh, I think I am now. Can you
Yeah, we
hear
can
me?
hear you fine.
Can you see me?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I have been listening, and of course, my screen just went out for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that you continue to represent the creative aspects of this time the African music, Moroccan influence in the diaspora, and it is just simply a wonderful opportunity to listen to how the cultural aspects influence exactly what it is we hear and see. And it's very interesting. And the only other comment I really wanted to make was to make sure that you did again announce how to pay for the modules, because the screening sometimes, the scanning, excuse me,
Sure.
doesn't necessarily work. If there was a phone number that we could Zelle to,
Okay.
that would be even easier for a person like me who can't figure out scans. Okay, but back to what you're talking about. Of course, that's, I think, a very important to keep that information forward on how we can continue to support these modules. But it is just wonderful to see how the music has transitioned and how the influences of the cultures make such a difference still about how they play their music and how they name their music, what they call their music, something that is also not generalized, but specific,
Yes.
individualized.
Yes.
And it gives a whole different kind of feeling for really how this music, whatever it is you call it, is representative of not only the person that's playing it, because it's interpretation of that individual's culture to represent it in a musical voice.
Yes.
So as we expect, I don't believe that. My phone just went nuts again. Can you hear me? Did I get
Oh, we
cut
hear
off?
you fine. No
Okay.
problems here. We hear you fine.
Well,
And
good. Because again, as I said, that for a person who is not an international voice or having had many opportunities to really delve deeply or more deeply into other cultural expressions. This is really a very unique opportunity to see a piece of it, to hear it, and those interviews of that we heard today, Mary Lou, awesome. I mean, we need to do more of that. We need to hear more of what created these original people that took them so far in life in the music.
Wow, that's
Keep
beautiful. That's beautiful,
Keep it
Carol.
up. Yeah, keep
Thank
it
you.
up. You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. You're
Thank
you're making
you.
me
Question?
you're making me blush.
Oh, good, good. Now listen, you put that back up, but is there a phone number here? I was looking for something. Oh, I see the email.
Yes.
Can we dial to that?
There you go. You can copy that. You can send on Zelle, or you
Yeah.
can send on PayPal. And if you do PayPal, just make sure you say that you're a family or a friend, because otherwise, it gets into a whole tax thing that we don't have to. And we're doing a little different thing. This next module is that we'll be only doing once a week on Thursdays, and the Thursdays, and you can pay, as we have listed there, $25 for a week. We'll be doing 6 weeks plus a bonus session. Or you could, pay for the whole 6 weeks with $120. That's what, and we have to, we have expenses, we have Zoom expenses that we have to do. We have, we spend a lot of time in formulating what we do, and any contributions that you can give us, anybody, I'm going to say that, is accepted and very graciously accepted. And I will say this too, on Thursday, Thursday coming up on the 18th of April, it is our traditional open house. And we open it up for those that we call our seekers to come in, and it's a free session to everybody, because we're going to talk about what we're going to be doing in the coming weeks and give you samples. Some people call it a teaser of what we're going to be doing in the next 6 weeks on Thursdays with aesthetically speaking music. Some of the sessions we will be dealing with aesthetically speaking hip hop. We're going to talk about aesthetically speaking crossover artists and the lost scene, like I mentioned before, the singers and other things. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry. Do you have something to add, Juan?
Oh, I thought you were talking with Caroline. Just for you, Caroline, if you wanna put your email address in the chat here on Zoom, or maybe Ralph can send me later, so I can send you the information for next Thursday on Zoom, so you can be here with us again, because I don't think you are in our mailing list.
I sent it. I sent it. Yeah.
Oh, you sent. Oh, okay. I just want to make sure that she got the information, and if you have any questions, we can help you.
Yeah.
Well, I just sent it, and I think I did. And I would say also that, it's like old saying, each one teach one, each one bring one.
Yes.
I think that this information that you're sharing is so important, because it adds so much to the music, the understanding of the music. We are isolated here in the United States. And so we get basically what it is they give us, unless we're creating.
That's right.
So, and as you said many times, that we have to be much more in control of what it is that we are representing. We have to be in control on many levels, on all of the levels. Well,
Yes.
this us folks that are just listeners and enjoyers an opportunity to go even deeper into the where it all comes from, how it all can blend together, how it expresses exactly what that cultural experience is musically. And we do the same thing, but it's like opening up different voids, putting wonderful patches in them that add to everything else that is we're familiar with here. So I just think you guys are doing an excellent exercise. I was trying to figure out how you could afford to do it every week, and you've done 14 modules. So I'm happy.
Out
to
of
see-
love, sister. I'm going to say that. It's been out
Oh,
of
no
love.
doubt. But you always also need to be able to pay the bill.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. And you know, Carolyn, how wonderful it is to have you because, you know, being connected with a great artist like you are, you know, you understand the struggle, you understand the challenges of being an artist in this country. You understand these things, and it, like I said, it makes me smile. And you know, I'm going to also say this too, Carolyn. We've had a group of seekers, what we call seekers, which you are one of, but we've had people that have been with us for 4 years, and they have supported us. They have not left us. They come in, and this is kind of why we want to continue doing what we're doing, because if nobody was here, then what would be the reason to continue doing this? But when we give love, we get love back. And when we get love back, we give love. And this has been an act of love these entire 4 years, all the topics that we've covered, you know, covering music from African diasporic and African music from all over the globe during these 4 years. And it's just been, like I said, a labor of love. And we didn't go in it for the dollars. You know, we did not go in there in it to make money. We went into it because we were seeking to expand our lives and the knowledge that this music, this great creative music, and the people that have created the music, what they have given us. So we want to give it back. You know,
Wow.
yeah, you know, and I'm so grateful for you to come in, you know, and to say the kind words that you have said. You know, it's really, you know, I know where your heart is. So thank you.
No doubt. Well, it's my pleasure. And we just need more. We need more people to hear these sessions because it makes you think. Well, it makes you think deeper. And of course, you and I have had more conversations about all kinds of issues that the musicians have faced that have taken the money, taken their music wherever it is they want to take it.
Yes.
So in order for us to really, really understand more fully, you are providing a different way. You're stretching our imaginations. You're giving us information that is not readily available to us. And it's very much appreciated, very much needed, particularly for music lovers and generally, you call them seekers, but people that are so curious about everything in life, taking an opportunity to look at things in a different way. It's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling.
And your words are heartfelt, Carolyn. Honestly, you know, I know we had really wonderful conversations over the last several months. You know, and like I said, I feel your words have meaning and they are heartfelt, really. I feel this and I'm grateful for you to, and all we're doing is we're trying to expand our seekers, expand our audience of listeners. And I think one of the most important things is when you hear an artist talk about what it is that makes them continue, what it is that started them on this path, and what it is that makes an artist continue on the path that they're on, and giving of themselves, even when the financial rewards are minimal, you see, but you
Yes.
still, there's something about doing this music, and I think that's where the idea of love, when Yusuf calls it autophysio-psychic, music that emanates from the mental, physical, and spiritual, and the heart, and from the heart, all these things, and so many musicians have said, well, I want to call my music this. Well, it's important that we have the option to name our music. And that's not to say somebody's else's name is not valid, because they might choose to do that, and you have to respect a person's option to name what it is how they feel about something and how they hear something. But it also gives us the impetus to want to find out and define more closely what it is that we do, and it makes us think about it, which is very important. How many people of our listeners have listened to Cecil Taylor and dismissed him as of dismissed his music and call it noise, or call it it's so far out we don't know what and if you listen to these wonderful documentaries, it gives you an insight into the spiritual philosophies of these great creative artists. Don Cherry, Mary Lou Williams, I had some other people that I also wanted to bring up, but I think as we do our live stream like tonight, and we'll be doing live streams on Tuesdays, and then we'll do our regular ASM sessions on Thursdays. But on Tuesdays, I think it's a good thing to do interviews of musicians, of singers, of people that are involved in creating this wonderful music and from this wonderful and historical culture. You saw Cecil Taylor was playing to the trees.
Yes.
As Brother Adeyemi would call it, the trees hold the record.
That's pretty good.
I won't forget that. We have some very, very incredible minds and spirits that come and visit us to our sessions. We want to expand that, of course. But listen, if it's just what we have, then our sincerity and our total input goes into those that join us every Tuesday and Thursday. Are you in Las Vegas, by the way?
I am in Detroit.
You're in Detroit. You're back in Detroit. All right. Okay.
For a few days, came for the Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation a press release party where they announced the artist that's going to be performing as artist in residence for our Labor Day weekend festival. So
Yes.
I support the foundation, of course, the music.
Wonderful. Yes.
And of course, I wanted to come and enjoy the press release party because you get a chance to hear the artist up close, personal, Brian Blade. And also, I was asked to do a testimonial, of course, that is also a part of what they'll be live streaming and when they do the festival. So I came back to Detroit, obviously, to participate, but also to enjoy what is going on in Detroit. And of course, this is just a side comment. I've been here a week. I've been to 4 or 5 concerts already. And oh my God, destroyed still is high cotton in the music. It's very, very successful.
I don't hear that much. That's great. Listen, Carolyn. Carolyn, while I have you here, did you get a chance to attend the services for Barbara Cox?
I did not. As a matter of fact, I
Okay.
wasn't here.
Okay.
And I think I had just gotten here. My good girlfriend Pam Grady, she did everything for that, and I heard it was just simply very, very nice.
All the
Very
great
nice.
musicians that were, a lot, they came in and did a wonderful musical tribute to Barbara, yeah.
Very well deserved.
Yeah.
One of these musical warriors out there trying to keep it live.
Yeah, I will miss my
It's
auntie.
a lot. Right. Very
Okay.
nice, though.
Okay, thank you so much, sister. Juan, is there anything that you would like to add to our session? We're just about ready. Listen, Carolyn, you come back
Yes.
so you could listen. I enjoy your words so much. You come back, please.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. And the only reason I missed it seems like when I was in Vegas, by the way, it seems like every time 4 o'clock, somebody was at my house, or I happened to be in the street, or it just seems like, dang it, I keep missing this. But I'm glad to be home with my feet up today, and was last Thursday, and just happy that
the Visca skating ring. Is that right?
yeah. All good. Very good. I just want to be able to support this because we just need to have more people listening more deeply, opening up. When these artists are giving their individuality, and there's only one DNA for them, and it's theirs.
Yes.
And when they give that to you just in every way, it just is so wonderful and beautiful to see how they are transferring what it is they're saying and doing, and how you receive it.
Yes.
It is just amazing. And I can only say one more time, the sessions that you all are doing, of course, I've not seen them, but they bring a different feeling. They are expanding the vocabulary around what it is this music.
Thank you so much.
Don't stop.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sister.
You're welcome. Oh, yeah.
You're bringing moisture to my eyes as well as the smile.
Well, I hope that there's a joy, because this stuff makes you happy.
Yeah, well, we've been at it a while, and we want to expand, and I hope you'll be able to tell some folks about us and what we're doing. We've had an incredible group of seekers from Detroit, and from the West Coast, and from Atlanta here. Ilham is in France, Juan is in Brazil. So we're connected on different continents, which is, just incredible. And we want to bring young people in, because a lot of young people don't know who these people are that we're talking about, and especially this period that we're going to be covering, 1973 through 1980. And there was a time of the emergence of hip hop and disco music, and the subculture of disco music, which to me put a lot of musicians out of work.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't only the disco music that put a lot of people out of work. It was the greedy promoters. Melvin used to talk about one machine in a casino, one of those one-armed bandits would be enough to pay a big band for the whole month. You know, they used to go out to Vegas and be out there with the shows and stuff for a month at a time. Well,
Yes.
well, at some point, the greedy people decided, well, we don't need the musicians anymore. We can just put this electronic stuff in as this other music and save the money. It was a huge insult to what is our human connection. It was like dumping acid on these wonderful flowers, and but it was all. And I know this is old school music words to you because we've talked about this, how they've controlled everything to the demise. They set the tone, they take the money, and they do fine, and everybody else struggles, even though they give everything they have. It's an amazing thing to see, but it needs to change. I agree.
Thank you so much, sister. Your words are golden, Carolyn. And no, I mean that, you know. Juan, is there anything that you would like to add on, or Ilham, you know, before we it's almost 9 o'clock. That's our bewitching time, but we go as long as we want to go. I'm going to say that that's how we like to do it. But your words, like I said, are golden, Carolyn. Juan, is there something you would like to add on to
Just thank everybody. Thank you, Carolyn, for all your kind words and support, you know. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube and you like this content, so we have much more in our channel. So please subscribe to our channel, press the like button, you know, these things, even small, they really help, you know, to spread out the word. And that's it. Join us on Thursday, all of you. And it's amazing, you know, to be part of it, of this construction, this everyday construction and research and listening to music and deep listening. So yeah, just thank you all for coming. See you on Thursday.
And let me say this too, you know, one of the things that we do traditionally, Carolyn, is that we not only send out a playlist, but we also send out a format, a printout format that you can print out and you can have, and you can put it in and see what we're covering musically with the playlist, and also what the format is of what we're doing, which we'll talk about our vision, our mission, and our focus on these particular formats that everybody that comes in and is on our mailing list will get a copy of that. So I just want you to know that, and this is what we do as a gift of love, you know.
Well, let me just finally say one other thing, that I think that's a wonderful idea, the printout version, because some of the, like, Who Shot the Piano Player? Some of these kinds of
you saw that?
Well, I was trying to Google it and to see if I could get the movie. They only have it in book form, and I think there might be something else coming. I don't know, but to be able to then to go back, have something, because the brain ain't always sharp enough to remember, but then to have something that we can refer back to say, oh, I wanted to pick that piece back up, and to be able to do it ourselves. Very good suggestion.
Thank you. On Thursday, there's some surprises that I think that you know, you among the other seekers will be enjoying. Really, and I mean, while we do put these things together, we find out fascinating things, you know. So we're going to conclude right now, and Carolyn, I'm going to look forward to seeing you and hearing your voice on Thursday for our open house for the 14th module of ASM, Aesthetically Speaking Music. And I want to thank you all of you that have joined us for this live stream. And remember, we will continue doing this as long as as long as we're able to do this. Okay. Thank you very
All
much.
righty.
Thank you.
Great, great, great.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
sister. Thank you, sisters.
You
شكرا.
are welcome. لا
Salam
شكرا على
alaikum.
واجب. عليكم السلام.
I love this. Okay. Well, good to see you, brother. You know, take care. Ilham, Amit.
Take
Take care of
care.
yourself, sister. All
See
right.
you.